Ohio State versus West Virginia. Now, if you look at the records, this doesn't seem like quite the game, right? And Ohio State scheduled this back when they thought Bob Huggins would still be the West Virginia coach. Obviously, he had his struggles in the offseason, which has not made him the coach anymore. So that those things going on. But West Virginia does have some good players. They've struggled with the what's it called? The not having the players approved by the NCAA. Of course, the restraining order is in place now, which is helping them with some of their guys like Kirk Hersa, Raquan Battle. I think it's Raquan Battle as well. Some of those guys who are really, really good players are now playing for West Virginia. So this is a more lethal team than they were at the beginning of the season. However, they have still lost to teams like UMass, Radford, those kind of things. And the Buckeyes are playing pretty well. They had their stinker against Penn State where they let up a huge lead and lost that one that I don't want to think about or remember, but it's fine. We'll mention it. Russ, we'll go to you first on this one. What are some of your thoughts leading into this Ohio State-West Virginia game?
Yeah, it seems like you're doing that cautious fan thing where you're talking up West Virginia a little bit just in case it doesn't go your way. But,
Right.
I see a pretty clear gap here right now. Like you said, Bob Huggins going out in the offseason. You've got Josh Eilert, who still on the website is listed as interim. So he's not even somebody that the program is fully behind. Like you said, they've had the eligibility issues. They did get Raquan Battle back a couple of games ago. But even with him back and being, very, very good, even as an understatement, he's went off for 29 points in both games, but one of those was a loss to Radford. And the other one I think was just like a 10-digit win to, was it Toledo, I believe? So, West Virginia, yes, they've been playing a little bit better as of late, but I mean, you still got an over 100-point gap in KenPom, right? Ohio State's 27, West Virginia's 129. In net, it's even a bigger gap. Ohio State's 28, West Virginia's 180 in the net. So, I do think this is a game that as long as, Ohio State continues to take care of the rebounds, take care of the boards, and get to the free throw line, which they've been doing really well. I think this is a good, comfortable Power 6 win for you all to get to 11 wins before you even get to New Year's. So, like I said, as much as it was a bad loss to Penn State, to sit there and look at 11-2 going into the new year and going into a conference schedule, I think your guys are in pretty good shape.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good situation for Ohio State to be in. And even with West Virginia getting some of these guys back, they've played two, maybe 3 games, I think at most. I think the battle guys only played 2 games. Now, I scored 29 points in both those games. But, that always does give you concern, especially for Ohio State, which has struggled to stop some of these premier scorers. What was his name? Dawson Garcia for Minnesota just absolutely went off against Ohio State when they played them. Now, it didn't seem to matter that much because Ohio State was still able to take care of them. However, that does make you a little skittish, especially with the loss to Penn State earlier this season. Spartan Dog, what are your thoughts? Should I be concerned about this game? Are you with Russ where it's like, it's not that big of a deal? What are your thoughts?
Here's what this game's going to come down to, JR. It's going to come down to, is Chris Holtmann going to have a brain fart? Because Chris Holtmann every year is always good for a few like games that they should win, and he just makes some weird substitution decision, doesn't take a timeout to stop a run, and it ends up costing Ohio State in the long run. So, on paper, this seems like a clear-cut win for Ohio State, but like you pointed out, they did lose to Radford, but this West Virginia team does look more fluid with Raquan Battle in there. And if they're unable to shut him down, then that could be an issue. Outside of Raquan Battle, I'm not really sure who else on this West Virginia team Ohio State is supposed to be afraid of. I haven't watched much of them this year, but I know from last year, both watching MSU play them and just kind of watching some of their other games, they were a young team that had a lot of potential, and this should be the year where they take that step up and really kind of get into the conversation for a double bye in the conference tournament. So if you want to be in that conversation, you got to win games like these. You've already lost a game like against Penn State, so you really can't afford many more of these losses.
Well, on this loss, not this loss, if this does become a loss, this is one of those tricky ones, right? Where a team wasn't playing as well at the beginning of the season. And like, I know they lost to Radford, but still, like I said, these are better players they have in now. So if Ohio State does end up losing this game, it's kind of a tricky one because it's not going to be good for them in the net. This is what, because it's a neutral site game. I think it's quad 2 or quad 3. I can't remember exactly. It is technically a neutral site game because they're playing in Cleveland. So, kind of more toward Ohio State, but still neutral site. And so that's going to hurt them as well. That because net doesn't always account for injuries and players not playing, especially the crazy world we live in now with guys having their waivers and guys not having their waivers. It's wild. It's chaos. It's really something the NCAA or whoever's in charge of whatever is going on needs to fix, because it's just absolutely ridiculous that we have this kind of stuff going on. But it is difficult to try and project, and the numbers won't favor Ohio State if they win. And then on the flip side, it's not going to favor Ohio State either if they win, because I think this is a better win than what the numbers would suggest if Ohio State does win this one. But ultimately, we'll see how it goes down. I think Ohio State does win this one. I think Bruce Thornton has been on fire. I think Roddy Gale has been able to do a lot as well. Even in that UCLA game where Ohio State was struggling offensively, Roddy Gale was a nice shining light that was able to make things happen for the offense. And I do think it's a big, big deal that Jesse Edwards is hurt and not playing as well. Felix Akpara, Zed Key are going to be able to play defense better and have their way a little bit more down in the post, because Edwards is a good player, but for him being out for, I think I read, a month now is going to be really difficult for them. Russ, are you picking Ohio State to win this one as well?
I am. And like I said, I would expect it to be somewhere in like the mid-teens to maybe even close to 20. I think maybe something like an 80-64 kind of a win, because, like you said, it's technically neutral, so that does help you. Technically, if it is a loss or you guys don't play well, it shouldn't hurt you as much not being a true home game. Mm-hmm. But, as lowly as they are ranked, losing record, interim coach, they are still trying to figure things out with these pieces coming back. And, like Spartan Dog said, it's a young team that's starting to gel and starting to get get the ball rolling on offense, especially. I think that it should be a comfortable win for you all. And, like you said, it might not be as good in the numbers, but for you, the fan base, and for the players, it's going to be a really good boost going into conference play.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're right. The boost of enthusiasm and stuff like that more than anything, and getting to 11 wins would be something for the team to hang their hat on. Spartan Dog, you going to pick Ohio State to win this one as well?
I am going to pick Ohio State. I think that Ohio State is probably one of the more underrated, talented teams in the Big Ten this year. I think they're flying under the radar just because of they underperformed last year. Let's call a spade. But I think that, having those guys getting a year of experience under their belt under Chris Holtmann, I think is going to help them both in this game and once the calendar turns to 2024 and we jump into conference play. So I think Ohio State should take care of business here in Cleveland.
They should. We'll see if it happens.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Listen to the Big Ten Huddle. Please do like and subscribe. We appreciate that. If this was your first time listening, we are the Big Ten Huddle. We cover all things Big Ten football and basketball. We have a long episode every Sunday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night, all at 9 o'clock. So come in, check us out, get in the chat, let us know what you're thinking. We would love to have you join us and learn more about the Big Ten.